Hey guys, this is Chetan for Gizmo Times and you're watching a quick comparison of the Realme 8 5G and the Realme 8, the 4G variant or the original Realme 8 which was launched earlier. Now, there are a lot of people asking on why the 5G variant was launched at all because there's no 5G around in India and there's no certainty about when it would be launched. I mean, 5G launch is one thing, and the proper availability with a full-fledged rollout in every city is another. So, would you really want to choose a 5G phone over a 4G phone? And are there any compromises in the Realme 5G which makes you go towards the Realme 8? That's what we are going to talk about in this video. And before we begin, the pricing is almost the same. Since the pricing is out, it now makes sense to do a comparison and let you know how do these two smartphones differ. Now, if we talk about the first one, that's the Realme 8, which was launched earlier itself. I'll talk about the design part first before talking about everything else. So this is the Realme 8, and if you know, this is the day to leap branding, which I personally won't ever like. And there are people who have their own mixed thoughts. Some of them actually like these kind of designs, and some of them don't. So it's a glossy back, and there are a lot of fingerprints and smudges, which you can clearly see on the back of this one. Now compared to this, if we talk about the design of the Realme 8 5G, which is now launched here, it comes with again a glossy back, and this also would take in some fingerprints and smudges, but not as much as what the other one would do. And there's a big bump for the cameras on this one, on both of them actually, because the reason for that is these phones are quite slim, and they are almost similar when we talk about the in-hand field and also the thickness of it. But one thing is that these phones come still with the same battery, 5000 mAh battery capacity, and the screen size differs only by a little. So the 5G variant here, the Realme 8 5G, comes with a 6.5-inch display. The Realme 8 comes with a 6.4-inch display. The brightness, the max brightness here differs quite a bit. There's 1000 nits of max brightness on the Realme 8, while the 5G variant comes with a 600 nits of maximum brightness. But the refresh rate is something you need to actually talk about here. The refresh rate here is at 90 Hertz for the Realme 8 5G. One advantage here is that yes, it comes with a faster refresh rate, but you also should keep a note that the Realme 8 5G does not have a Super AMOLED display, which the Realme 8 has. So again, it's based on whether you like this or not. And if you talk about the screen refresh rate, this is what we're talking about. You don't have that kind of thing on this one because it comes with 60 Hz refresh rate, the Realme 8. The Realme 8 5G has 90 Hz, but there's no Super AMOLED. So obviously the color output and the way the content is shown on the display for you is going to be better on the Realme 8. But again, it does not have a 90 Hz display refresh rate, so it won't be as smooth as what you would see on the Realme 8 5G. When we're talking about the interface and about, I mean, how it scrolls and everything, that's the only good thing about the 90 Hz display here, because in gaming you won't really see that 90 Hz or 90 FPS support. Now, the processors or the core strength of these devices, this comes with the 7 nanometer Dimensity 700, and compared to that, the Realme 8 comes with the 12 nanometer Helio G95, and these are the benchmark scores. Obviously you can see that the Realme 8 5G has a better score here, and if we take a deeper look into it, you can see that the CPU is very strong on the Realme 8 5G, while the GPU is stronger on the Realme 8, and that was the case since quite some time. It's the Helio G95. Obviously that is going to offer a better gaming performance with that strong GPU, and the G series including the Helio G90T and the G95 both had a great GPU output there. These cores, obviously, I mean, they keep changing, and if we have more storage filled up in the smartphone, the memory score changes there. So we would usually rely on these two first cores where the CPU is better, and it certainly is better on the Realme 8 5G because of that 7 nanometer manufacturing process. And along with that, you also see that it comes with the 5G connectivity. So if we are to talk about the connectivity, it's all about future proofing. If you're someone who doesn't change smartphones every year regularly, if you're using the same phone for 3 to 4 years, then I would say yes, it does make sense to go with a 5G smartphone right now, because you won't really have to upgrade at that point of time. You don't really have to change your smartphone. But again, we aren't sure which place you stay in. I mean, if I am someone who's suggesting a personal opinion here, I would say if you're from a city where the 4G rollout also did not happen that soon, you can expect the same with the 5G rollout. So you don't really have to look at 5G if you're not into one of those metro cities which would get the 5G connectivity first. If you talk about the next one, that's the interface. They both come with the same Android 11 based Realme UI 2.0, and they have all the similar features except for a couple of them for the display. And you have the Realme UI version 2.0, and the variants also differ quite a bit with the RAM and storage. Not a lot, but yes, there are certain differences. Obviously, you can check that out on Flipkart for the exact variants. Now, one major difference here again is with the cameras, where I would say it's a compromise on the Realme 8 5G in terms of the number of cameras. It's a compromise in terms of number of cameras, but not with the quality again. So we are talking about a triple camera against a four camera combination. So the Realme 8 5G has a triple camera combination where there's a GM1, Samsung GM1 48 megapixel sensor, and in comparison to that there's a 64 megapixel camera on the Realme 8, and that's the primary camera over here. But the Realme 8 5G has only a depth camera and a macro camera. Apart from that, there's no wide angle camera which is present on the Realme 8. So if you're someone who's into a lot of photography and at least wants to capture some landscape shots, you won't have that option in the Realme 8 5G because it doesn't even have a wide angle camera on it. So if we talk about the quality of the captures here, I'm surprised how the 48 megapixel camera did quite a better job when compared to the 64 megapixel camera on the Realme 8. And one of the reasons could be with the optimization or the ISP offered along with the chipset, but in the end the results were a little better on the Realme 8 5G. So if you want a camera comparison, do comment below. I'll do a full-fledged camera comparison to let you know how do the cameras differ. But obviously, if you're not only about the image quality, you would also want the wide angle camera. That's not present on the Realme 8 5G, but this does not have a compromised camera at all. If we talk about that primary sensor, 48 megapixel camera here does quite a good job. On the front, you have a 16 megapixel selfie camera on both the devices. They are quite similar. Now, the battery capacity is the same, but obviously I expect the Realme 8 5G to do a better job with the battery life because it comes with that 7nm chipset. So the battery optimization should be better here. The efficiency should be better on the 5G, but we'll do a different battery test separately, and that would be a side-by-side battery test to just show you how much time does both the phones take to drain from 100 to 0. And fast charging is better on the Realme 8. It comes with the 30-watt fast charging compared to the 18-watt fast charging on the Realme 8 5G. So that's another compromise here. Now with the fingerprint sensor, you don't have a side fingerprint sensor on the Realme 8 because it comes with a Super AMOLED display and there's an in-display fingerprint sensor. But on the 5G variant, you have the side display side fingerprint sensor, and that's another difference. So if you're talking about the compromises here or the different things that you're missing out on the Realme 8 5G, you obviously don't have that Super AMOLED display to begin with, not the same kind of a GPU performance that you see here. There's no wide angle camera as well on the Realme 8 5G. And another point that I missed out earlier is that this comes with only a full HD video recording and not a 4K video recording. If we talk about the two here, if we take a quick look on how these two differ, so going into the settings here, and for the rear camera, if you're talking about the rear camera, you can see that there is 4K option for the Realme 8, but there's no 4K for the Realme 8 5G. So that's another compromise in terms of the camera on the Realme 8 5G. Now these compromises, are they worth it if you actually are going with a 5G phone only thinking about the future and the future proofing? It all depends on your own, personal opinion or the personal need. Do you really want to use it for a longer term and then take advantage of 5G whenever it arrives, or do you want to right now get a better phone with everything offered better and with a better display as well, and probably change to a newer smartphone when 5G actually rolls out? So it all depends on you. I would personally suggest that you could go with the Realme 8 itself if you are looking at these two smartphones, because 5G might come in a year or two or even 2 or 3 years from now, and by that time you'll see tens of new smartphones coming with the 5G compatibility and with a competitive pricing as well. So that's how I look at it, and I would also suggest you the same. You could go with the Realme 8 right now compared to the Realme 8 5G. 5G is not a compromise with the performance, but still 5G chipset doesn't make sense here if you are going with the other compromises. If you are looking at the other compromises, that's the reason why I would choose the Realme 8 over the Realme 8 5G. So that's it guys, I hope you like this video. If you do, share and subscribe to Gizmo Times for more. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video.